Well, hello scrappers. Welcome back to my channel. Mike here. Time for me to get back to work on my home-built Cupelling oven. This is going to be episode 3 of me working on the home-built Cupelling oven. So the only change I've made since the end of the last video is I have made a sacrificial floor for inside out of some kiln bricks. So basically these are just sitting in here. And these will take the brunt of any spills or boilovers or anything else to protect the actual floor down here. These can be really easily changed out for new ones at any time. Plus, they're also going to reduce the volume of the chamber some and insulate the floor better. So this is going to allow the chamber to heat up quicker and get hotter. So these are going to be handy. So today what I want to do is I want to cut the slotted angle pieces for the sides and start building the frame that this thing's going to sit in. Okay, so back in episode 1 I got some slotted angle. Let me show you a piece. So here's one of the pieces of slotted angle I bought. So my idea is to hold the thing together with slotted angle at the corners, across the bottom on all the sides, and across the top on all the sides. So I don't know, I have second thoughts about whether it's needed at the top, but definitely going to be needed at the bottom. In fact, I might put a piece across the middle too, just to support it, because this thing's getting heavy. So yeah, anyway, today what I want to do is I want to cut these and start fitting them together, and then putting the furnace back together inside the frame that I'm going to make with these. So let me get some measurements and we will start cutting. So let's see, the furnace is right about 12¼ inches tall, but I want this to sit a couple inches up off of whatever table or support bench it's sitting on, just because the bottom of it's going to get hot with extended use. So I would probably want it to extend up at least 2 inches higher than that. So that would be like 14¼ inches I would need to make it. So I would need to cut 4 pieces at 14¼ inches, and then I need to cut some pieces for the sides. Well, that's 9 inches. So we need 2 at 9, and we'd need 2 at about 11½. So, okay. Let me get cutting. And I might actually need a third one at 9 if I want to run one up the middle to give it some extra support on the bottom. So, probably 3 at 9 and 2 at 11½. Okay. So let me get set up and get to cutting. So one thing I need to consider when I'm cutting this stuff up is I want the holes and slots to line up on all of them the same way. So I think the way they have this cut, I think if I start from either end, I should be able to get my uprights and have them line up perfectly, because it looks like they've cut through the same holes, right through the same holes on both ends. Okay, so let's go 14¼ So put me right about on the edge of this hole here. There. And we'll cut this, and then we'll come back and we'll measure 14¼ from the other side. And we'll cut that. I have a steel cutting blade in my chop saw, so I've taken the wood cutting blade out. Here we go. I probably should be wearing hearing protection. Let's see how loud it is. Actually wasn't too bad. Okay, so there's our first cut. So I just need 3 more like that, and I will measure from the other end of this one because it looks like it was cut exactly the same way there. So we should wind up in exactly the same place up here. And the hole should line up, and I'll cut 2 more out of one of the others using the same method. Well, there's a stack of 4 pieces, all very close to the exact same length. Nice. Okay, so let me start cutting some of the other pieces, the cross pieces that are going to hold up the base. So I'm going to go a little big because I'm going to try holding this together with screws, so the screw heads are going to stick out on the inside a little bit. So I need to make it oversized by the size of the screw heads. So I'm going to up all my measurements by 1/4 of an inch, and we'll see how that works. If that's too long, I can cut them off a little bit. Okay, so let me get to cutting, and then I'll meet you back over at the furnace once I got the rest of the pieces cut. Well, okay, got all the pieces cut. Now it's just a matter of bolting them together like I'm building an erector set model. So let me find the nuts and bolts and screwdrivers, and I'll get started on that. Then I should be able to just drop the pieces in. That's the theory. We'll see how it goes. Well, it's just like putting together an erector set model. I mean, I think this slotted angle stuff is like erector set for adults. I love it. Made a few on-the-fly decisions as I was putting it together. I decided it really didn't need to be 2 inches up. That really, I think it's going to work out better with a little lower. We still got air gap underneath it. Let air flow through underneath it. Okay. So let me start stacking the pieces in here and see if everything fits. Let me get the base in and the chamber and the lid. See if it all fits. See how it looks. Sorry if I'm blocking the camera. That is an heavy base. This is going to be stable as all get out with this much weight at the bottom. Okay. Well, there's the base in. Let's get the chamber in. Okay. Starting to look like something. Sacrificial floor in. And now let's get the lid on. Excellent. Excellent. This is really starting to come together, I think. I've got to, let's see, is that going to work? I'll figure it out. Yeah, I didn't think about how to bolt these together at the top. So, oh, but you know what? I put a gasket under this. I might raise this up enough that I can bolt this. But how am I going to get the bolts in? Let me think about that. I didn't think far enough ahead about the top. Might have to do it a little bit different. I'll think about that. But I'm pretty happy with the sides and the bottom. Yeah. Maybe like this. Yeah. Okay. Let me think about that, but hey, we are on our way. And of course now I've got a place to hinge the door. And I will wrap the door with this stuff too. So I've got a place to attach the hinge on the door and on the frame here. Excellent. Excellent. I just got to figure out what to do at the top. I'll be back when I do. Okay, so this is what I came up with for the top. I've just got these pieces sitting in here now. Again, lack of thinking ahead on my part. I should have probably cut these uprights at least 3/4 of an inch taller. Then I would just be able to bolt everything together probably, but there's just not enough space to get the bolts in right now. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to drill some holes, put some screws in to hold all this together. Then everything should be good and sturdy. And I might even run like a piece of threaded rod across the top or something as like a handle for carrying this thing. I don't know, we'll see. That may or may not get done. But yeah, I think if I just drill a few holes and put some number 10 or number 12 bolts, nuts on there, hold it all together, I think that's going to work good. Yes. Okay, let me get to drilling. So this is what I've done here. I've bolted 2 bolts at each corner, hold it all together. Boy, and that makes the whole framework very rigid, very rigid. I'm still debating about whether putting a bar across to use as a handle or not is a good idea. Maybe I'll wait till I get the door on, because I'm sure once the door's on, the center of gravity is going to be pretty close to the front, probably, not in the middle. So, anyway, I will think about that some more, but hey, things are moving along. I'm liking this. This is working. So what I've done here is I have wrapped the door with some of this slotted angle, and I'll need to connect it together up here where the free end is, and then I'll run some screws through into the kiln bricks to hold them secure in the door. Then I'll have a place to attach the hinges to the door securely, and this should work really well, I'm thinking. Okay, so I just use a piece of steel angle to hold it together here at the corners. I was thinking about welding it, but the gap's too big, so I just put a piece of steel angle on it. Self-drilling screws. I ran some long self-drilling screws in places around the edges just to hold the thing together. The screws go in about that far into the brick, so I mean they're not really going to hold in the brick very well, but since they're not coming out of the steel, the brick's not going anywhere. So now we got a door, and what I'm thinking about doing is putting a layer of K-wool insulation on the door so it can seal when it goes against the frame here, and it will seal around the chamber there so we can get a good seal, unless I want the door open to let a little air in. So I'm about ready to hang the door on the frame. I think I'll put the insulation on first so I can get the gap in the door right. Then I'll hang it on the frame. Okay, so I've got a big chunk of K-wool ceramic fiber insulation here. I've been cutting pieces out of it for various projects, and I think this piece right here is big enough to make the insulation for the door. So yeah, so I'll just cut a square out, a rectangle that'll cover the door. I'll figure out some way to attach it. I got a couple ideas on that department. And then when I close the door, this will provide a great gasket to keep the heat in the chamber. So let me cut this out, top of my long-suffering workbench here, which doesn't seem that long ago. I painted it, cleaned it up and painted it, and it was beautiful again, but, well, I'm hard on work surfaces. What can I say? Alright. So there we go. I have a couple ideas about how to attach this. I can just use some self-drilling screws and go into the steel frame here. Maybe put some washers on them. Just need a few probably to hold this in place. And then this would be the door for the furnace. Okay. So let me figure out how to attach that. Okay, there we are. I just attached it with 3 self-drilling screws, long ones that went down into the steel frame. Got some washers on them. I ran them down to they're below the top of the fiber. I cut out the center of the fiber. If I want to unblock it, I can use the peephole. So there we are. Let's test fit it. Alright, so this is actually going to go on horizontal like this. When I was doing the testing, I had it vertical like this. It's just going to go on horizontal like this, and then I can hinge it over here like so. I think that's going to work. I think it's going to work pretty darn good. Okay. So I just really need to just get the thing hinged on there now. Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Hinges next. Then I need to think up a catch to hold it shut. Well, I kind of bought the wrong hinges, but I'm making them work. They should have been a little longer. Or I should say wider. But I'm making them work. Okay. Let's see how this door works. Take the support out from under it. Look at that. Excellent. Alright, I think that's gonna work. I just need to bodge together a catch to hold the door shut. Hold it shut fairly tight. And, or crack it open a little bit if I want air in there. Okay, so that's next. Making good progress, if I do say so myself. I'm liking it. That's going to get hot in there. Okay, I solved the latch problem. I had some of these catches that I took off of another project I'm working on. I'm rehabbing an old telescope, and it had the primary mirror cell held on with 4 of these catches, so they're not going to be reused. I'll put a link to that video in the upper right if you're interested. And turns out, hey, that's just about perfect for holding the door shut. Yeah, I can work that with gloved hands, I'm sure, because that's probably how I'll mostly be doing it. You know, it's going to get hot. Alright, so, got the catch on there. Let me give you a walk around of the unit as it sits now and show you what it looks like. I've come a long way. It's definitely still a work in progress, but I've come a long way. It's just about to the point of being usable. Just about. I mean, if I wanted to use it wide open without temperature control, I could just plug it in and do that. It is difficult to do one-handed. There we are. Okay. But yeah, it's just about usable. It needs some further improvements in the future. Maybe cover up these exposed electrical contacts, ground the frame. I got to get the electronics on it and a thermocouple in it so we can get temperature regulation. Down the road, there might be sides. I might put some insulation in here and put some sheet metal sides on it. Low priority though. Getting this thing up and operating, that's my high priority. Okay? Oh, it needs a name. Rick, if you're watching, it needs a name. Waiting on that. Rick earned the naming rights for this by contributing to the project. You can contribute to my projects too with my PayPal tip jar, or by making a contribution to the channel from the donate button on the main page. So as soon as you come up with a snazzy name, Rick, that's what it'll be called. Alright, so that's how far I've gotten so far. In the next video, we will work on getting the electronics on this thing and give it a good test. Alright, maybe we'll even get around to Cupelling some stuff. That would be nice. So, yeah. Alright, well, thanks a lot for watching this video. If you found it at all interesting, educational, informative, whatever, give it a like, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to see my future videos, including more of this, and gold recovery, and all the other stuff I do. Check out my second channel, Electric Geek 64. There's good stuff going on there. If you're at all interested in electronics or retro computing, check it out. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching this one. Bye.